Daniel Sports Central, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the Week 5 matchup between the USC Trojans and the Colorado Buffaloes. A matchup with high stakes. Looking forward to Week 5. You got USC. This is a team that is very much a national contender this season. Offensively, they could go all the way, win the national championship this season. Wouldn't be surprised one bit. It's just about the defense for USC and winning it when it really matters. And this is a huge matchup for them as they take on Colorado, one of the loudest teams of this college football season, and quite a story they have been so far. But obviously coming off of what was a brutal loss last week, lost to Oregon and Eugene 42-6, trying to bounce back from that, and no better chance taking on USC. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with your team trends. USC beat Arizona State 42-28 last week, which overall, I mean, a win's a win, but taking on an Arizona State team that is clearly one of the worst teams in the Pac-12, just a kind of a disappointing performance. It was pretty close for a long time there, and in the end got the win by a couple of touchdowns, but it definitely should not have been that close. But USC's 4-0. Offensively, this team is incredible. They're the top team in the country in points per game, and so you consider that the probably best offense in the country. This could definitely be a tough matchup for Colorado, being a team that isn't very strong defensively. Offensively, this is a team that's really good, especially in the passing game. Shedeur Sanders has been incredible so far this season, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. But defensively, this team has been a bit vulnerable. It didn't have much of an answer last week against Bo Nix and Oregon. But this is still a team that's 3-1, and they're 0-1 in conference, but still it's very early on. There's a lot of football left, so for Colorado, they are not out of contention quite yet. But defensively, this team will have to be better moving forward. The Pac-12 is an incredible conference of offenses. You got USC, Oregon. I mean, Washington, they're probably one of the best in the country. Washington State's been insane so far this season. Utah, it goes on. So the Pac-12 is an incredible conference of offenses. And for Colorado being in this conference, could be tough for them this season considering the defense. The game's be on Saturday, September 30th in Boulder. So Colorado does have the home field advantage for this one. When Colorado is packed and rocking, it is tough to play there. Kickoff is 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Spread's going with USC here by 24.5. So Trojans are heavily favored in this matchup. We've seen Colorado as a heavy underdog multiple times this season. Obviously, the TCU game where Colorado proved everyone wrong, won that game 45-42. Didn't really go that way against Oregon last week, but we're seeing this again. Colorado's at home. USC is a heavy favorite, so we'll see if the Buffs can prove everyone wrong. But over-under as high as you would expect. 71.5 is the over-under. And the FPI is going with the Trojans as well, right around 90%. And believe it or not, Colorado has never beaten USC. I mean, USC and Colorado have been in the Pac-12 together for a decent amount of time now. USC has won every single matchup since 2011 when Colorado joined the conference. And most of the games have been blowouts as well. I mean, you consider last season when it was in LA, USC won at 55-17. Stat comparison for this one, USC, top team in the country in points per game. They're 36th in points allowed. So defensively, that was the big question mark for this team heading into the season. Could this defense be better for USC? Because their offense was incredible last year. I would have probably said last season that they had the best offense in the nation. It was just the defense that was the issue. And so far, this defense has been better in 2023, although against Arizona State last week were a bit underwhelming. So I mean, this defense has to be better. If their defense plays well, this is a team that is near unstoppable. And so, I mean, this offense is easily good enough to win a national title. Once again, it's just the defense. But they're third in pass yards a game, 23rd in rush yards, and defensively, right, kind of middle of the road, 67th in pass defense and 68th in rush defense. And as for the Buffs, 36th in points per game this season, 6th in pass yards a game, but otherwise this team is in the hundreds for every other area. 100th in points allowed this season, 128th in rush yards. This is not a very strong rushing offense. It's really been the passing game that has been incredible for the Buffs. It's just, I mean, the running game has definitely been underwhelming. Dylan Edwards, the lead rusher, just right over 150 yards this season. So, I mean, that's also a tough thing. As we've been through 4 games with Colorado now, that's kind of been the main story. This is a team that is very strong in passing, not so much in rushing, and defensively, I mean, they were impressive against Nebraska, but otherwise, I mean, allowed 35 to Colorado State. They still allowed 42 to TCU, and obviously the Oregon game was not pretty. So that is something that definitely needs to be improved moving forward if the Buffs want to be a contender. But your recent matchups, USC beat Arizona State 42-28. Then obviously the three dominant wins to start the season against San Jose State, Nevada, and Stanford, where this team pretty much averaged 60 points a game in those three matchups. And that really goes to show how much this offense can really shine. And obviously Colorado on the other side. The story of this team has just been incredible so far this season. You consider going into Fort Worth in week 1, everyone doubting this team, and Colorado got the win 45-42, and then beat Nebraska 36-14. That's really where this team was put in the spotlight. Then was after that. Then they took on Colorado State 43-35, beat them in double overtime, and then that all led up to the disappointing loss to Oregon this past week. But I still want to emphasize, though, this is still so early in the season. We're still in late September. I know that, after a tough loss to Oregon, there might be some doubt still in Colorado, but this is still a team that is very, defensively, this is still a pretty young football team. They still have a lot of potential moving forward, and this team can still improve despite a really disappointing performance this past week. But your key points for this one, USC, 4-0, Caleb Williams. This offense might be the best in the country. And putting this just honestly, this is just a tough matchup for Colorado in this matchup, taking on a USC team that's probably even better than Oregon offensively. With Caleb Williams, your reigning Heisman winner for a reason. In this offense, the depth and the talent and everything, it's just a tough matchup for the Buffs, being a team that's just not very strong defensively at this point in the season. So, but even for USC, though, this team was a bit vulnerable in week 4. They had a pretty close game to Arizona State, 42-28, got the win. But, this was a team that struggled for a while in that matchup. So you consider if Arizona State can hang around USC, I don't see the reason why Colorado couldn't. I feel like the Buffs are a better team than Arizona State for sure. And this offense, Shedeur Sanders is very... they're dangerous for sure. Sanders is an incredible quarterback, 1,400 yards already this season of passing, 11 touchdowns on the year. So, this is an offense that can really be dangerous, especially when the passing game gets going. That's definitely one of the key factors for the Buffs, is getting the passing game going, because the rushing game not quite as strong. But for USC here, massive opportunity, obviously, for this defense. If they can shut down Colorado's offense, that's really a great sign for the future. For the Trojans, once again, if this defense can get going and really be dominant, I feel like USC is a team that could absolutely win the national title this season. That's just how good their offense is. But with that, let's get to the prediction here for USC and Colorado coming up here in week 5. Massive matchup and high stakes for both teams. And with that, I'm going to be going with USC. I just feel like this is a tough matchup for the Buffs. USC is arguably the best offense in the country going up against Colorado, a team that has definitely struggled defensively so far this season. So, it's a tough draw for Colorado. I do think this team at least puts up a fight, though. I think Deion's going to have this team ready to go at least, and they're going to put up a fight, keep this game close. They even got the home field advantage, but in the end, USC just too good of a team. So I'm going to take the Trojans 45-34. I'll say 65% towards USC, over under 71.5. I'm taking the over for that, and Colorado to cover the spread in the end. Just once again, I do think the Buffs are a good football team. I think that defensively they got to be better if they want to be a contender in the Pac-12, and that's kind of what we've learned in the past 4 weeks about Colorado, is this team is extremely strong in the passing game. When they can get that going, it's just defensively, this team has struggled a bit, and even the rushing game as well, less than great. So in the end, I'm going USC, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this matchup. Do you think USC is a team that could win the national title this season? Let me know your thoughts and everything, all that in the comments. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.